Welcome back to the Speak Like Leader podcast, your friendly place to learn natural English through real conversations.
Hey everyone, I'm Zoe.
And I'm James.
Before we start properly, I already feel like James is going to start another controversial topic today.
Me? Controversial? Never.
That never already sounds suspicious.
Okay, fine. Maybe a little. But it's interesting, I promise.
That's what people say right before chaos starts.
All right, let's begin then. I have a question today.
Go on. I'm slightly prepared and slightly scared.
Do you think beauty or confidence is more attractive in real life?
That's a big one. Straight into deep water.
No warm-up, just diving in.
I respect that, I think.
Because honestly, people always say looks matter, right?
Yes, of course they do. We can't pretend they don't.
When you meet someone, the first thing you notice is appearance.
Yes, that first glance is instant. No thinking, just reaction.
Exactly. In like 1 second, your brain already says something.
Like, oh, they look nice, or they have style, or something like that.
Right. So beauty definitely plays a role.
It does. It's the first door that opens.
But here's the twist. Does it last?
Now that's the real question.
Because I feel like beauty gets attention, but not always connection.
Yes, attention and connection are not the same thing.
Exactly. Someone can look amazing, but still feel empty when they speak.
Or awkward. Or uncomfortable to be around.
And that completely changes the experience, right?
Yes, instantly. The whole impression shifts.
On the other hand, some people are not even shockingly beautiful, but still you remember them.
Yes, they just stay in your mind for some reason.
That's what I find interesting. Why does that happen?
I think it's something deeper, like energy or presence.
Presence. I like that word.
It's not about looks only. It's how someone feels to be around.
So two people can look equally good, but feel completely different.
Exactly. One disappears from memory, the other stays.
And that difference? I think it's confidence.
Yeah, I think confidence quietly changes everything.
I've been thinking about something I once noticed in real life, and it completely changed how I understand attraction and confidence.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Go on, I'm listening.
I was at a family wedding a few years ago, and there was this woman who honestly looked like she stepped straight out of a magazine or a movie scene because everything about her appearance was so perfectly put together that people literally turned their heads the moment she entered the room without even realizing they were doing it.
That kind of presence where the room just reacts automatically. I know what you mean.
Exactly. And I remember thinking in that moment, okay, this is what people usually call beauty at its peak, because she had the dress, the makeup, the confidence in walking, everything aligned perfectly like a carefully designed image.
So she had that strong first impression energy.
Yes, but then something unexpected happened when I actually got a chance to talk to her later, because even though she was polite and nothing was wrong, the whole impression just didn't feel alive anymore.
Like the surface was impressive, but the connection wasn't there?
Exactly. It felt like looking at something visually perfect but emotionally flat, like a beautiful picture that doesn't really speak to you once you stare at it for a while.
That's a very specific feeling. And a bit disappointing, actually.
Yes, and what surprised me more was that I couldn't even explain it properly at first, because logically everything was fine, but emotionally there was just no depth pulling me in.
So nothing was wrong, but nothing stayed either.
Exactly that. And then later that same evening, I met someone completely different who didn't have that dramatic first-glance movie beauty, but the way she spoke, the way she smiled naturally, and the way she listened made everyone around her slowly shift their attention toward her without her even trying.
That's interesting. So she didn't demand attention, she naturally attracted it.
Yes, and that's when it hit me that attraction isn't only about how someone looks when they enter a room, but also about how they make the room feel while they are in it.
That's a big difference. Presence versus appearance.
Exactly. Because one person can impress you for a few seconds, but another person can completely change the emotional atmosphere of the space just by being relaxed, kind, and fully present in the moment.
That atmosphere-changing type of person is rare, but very unforgettable.
And what's even more interesting is that confidence doesn't always look loud or bold, because sometimes it's extremely quiet, like the way someone sits without shrinking, or the way they pause before speaking instead of rushing to fill silence just to sound important.
So it's not about being loud, it's about being comfortable.
Yes, exactly. Because I've noticed that truly confident people don't feel the need to prove anything every second. They just exist in the space naturally, and that calmness itself becomes very attractive in a subtle but powerful way.
That makes sense. It feels like they are not fighting themselves internally.
Yes, and when someone is not fighting themselves, the people around them also feel less pressure, less tension, and somehow more relaxed without even knowing why.
That's actually powerful, because people feel energy before they understand it.
Exactly. And I think that's where confidence starts becoming more important than appearance, because appearance might catch attention instantly, but confidence decides whether that attention turns into comfort, connection, or just disappears after a few seconds.
So attention is easy, but connection is the real test.
And the more I think about it, the more I realize that confidence isn't just about how someone behaves socially, it's actually connected to how they feel about themselves when no one is watching, because that inner feeling quietly shows up in everything they do outside.
That's true, because you can't really fake something that deep for long.
Exactly. You can pretend for a few minutes, maybe even a few hours, but eventually, your real level of comfort with yourself starts leaking into your body language, your voice, and even the way you react to small situations.
Like micro moments that reveal the real person underneath.
Yes, and I think that's why some people feel naturally calm to be around, even if they are not trying to impress anyone, because they are not constantly thinking about how they are being judged.
They're just existing, not performing.
Exactly. And that difference between existing and performing changes everything. Because when someone is performing all the time, even their confidence starts feeling artificial, almost like they are carrying a mask instead of being themselves.
That sounds exhausting, honestly.
It really is. And I've seen that kind of energy where a person looks confident from far away, but the closer you get, the more you feel a kind of pressure coming from them, like they are trying too hard to maintain an image.
So it doesn't feel relaxed, it feels forced.
Yes, but on the other hand, truly confident people don't create pressure in a room, they reduce it, and that's why conversations with them feel easier, smoother, and more natural even if the topic itself is nothing special.
That's actually a very important point. The conversation becomes easy, not heavy.
Exactly. And I think this is where we should also connect it to language learning, because many learners assume they need perfect grammar or advanced vocabulary before they can sound confident. But in reality, confidence often comes first, and fluency slowly follows it.
So speaking comes before perfection, not after it.
Yes, and I always find it interesting that people who are willing to speak imperfectly often improve much faster than people who wait for perfection, because they are actually using the language in real emotional situations instead of only studying it in isolation.
That makes sense. Real use creates real growth.
Exactly. And even small things like maintaining eye contact, not apologizing for every sentence, and staying in the conversation even when you struggle to find a word, all of these build a kind of natural confidence over time.
So confidence is also a skill, not just a personality trait.
Yes, and that's actually very important because if it's a skill, it means it can be developed, not just something you either have or don't have.
That's actually encouraging, because it makes it possible for everyone.
Exactly. And I think that's where the real shift happens, when people stop waiting for confidence to magically arrive and instead start building it through small daily experiences, even uncomfortable ones.
Like speaking even when you're not ready yet.
Yes, and every time you survive that discomfort, even slightly, your brain learns that it is safe, and slowly confidence becomes your default, rather than something you have to force.
So, confidence grows through repetition and experience.
And what's really interesting is that once confidence starts becoming your default way of showing up, you stop overthinking every single interaction because you're no longer trying to win the conversation, you're just part of it.
That's a big shift, actually, from trying to impress to simply participating.
Exactly. And when that shift happens, people also start responding to you differently because they can feel that you are not constantly judging yourself in the middle of speaking.
That makes the whole interaction feel lighter, like there's less tension in the air.
Yes, and I think that's why confidence often gets described as attractive, because it creates emotional ease not only for the person who has it, but also for the people around them.
So it's not selfish confidence, it's shared comfort.
Exactly. And that's something I find really important, because sometimes people misunderstand confidence and think it means being loud, dominant, or always correct, but real confidence is often quiet, respectful, and very aware of others.
So it's actually more about awareness than dominance.
Yes, and when someone is truly confident, they don't need to interrupt others to prove their point, they don't need to exaggerate their achievements, and they don't need to control every conversation to feel valuable.
They just let things flow naturally, without forcing it.
Exactly. And that natural flow is what makes them memorable, because people don't remember who was the loudest in the room, they remember who made them feel understood, relaxed, or genuinely seen.
That's actually very true. Emotional memory lasts longer than loud moments.
Yes, and I think this is where confidence connects deeply with human connection, because at the end of the day, people are not only looking for impressive appearances, they are looking for emotional safety and interaction.
Emotional safety. That's a powerful phrase.
It is, because when someone feels safe around you, they open up more, they speak more honestly, and they don't feel like they have to perform or hide parts of themselves.
So confidence creates space for authenticity.
Exactly. And that's why even in simple daily situations, like ordering coffee, talking to a stranger, or speaking in another language, confidence changes the entire experience more than we realize.
Because it changes how relaxed you are inside the moment.
Yes, and once you are relaxed, your communication becomes clearer, your thinking becomes faster, and even your mistakes don't feel as heavy anymore. So mistakes become normal instead of scary.
Exactly. And that's why I think confidence is not the opposite of insecurity. It's more like the ability to stay present even when insecurity exists in the background.
That's a very balanced way to see it. Not perfection, but presence.
Yes, and presence is really the core of everything we've been talking about. Because whether it's beauty, conversation, or personality, what people actually experience is your presence in that moment.
And presence is felt, not explained.
Exactly. And that's why some people can walk into a room without saying anything important and still change the energy of the entire space.
Because they are fully there, not distracted, not nervous, just present.
Yes, and that kind of presence is what slowly builds what people call magnetism.
Right. Like people are naturally drawn without being pushed. And when we talk about magnetism in people, it's actually not something mysterious or magical. It's just the result of repeated small behaviors that make others feel comfortable, respected, and emotionally safe around you over time.
So it's built slowly, not something you suddenly switch on.
Exactly. It's not a performance you turn on for a moment. It's more like a consistent way of being that people start trusting without even thinking about it consciously.
That trust is what creates attraction in a deeper sense.
Yes, and that's why I think confidence becomes more powerful than appearance in the long run, because appearance is something people process quickly, but confidence shapes the entire experience they have with you over minutes, hours, or even years.
So first impression might be visual, but lasting impression is emotional.
Exactly. And emotional impressions are much harder to replace once they are formed, because people remember how you made them feel more than what you looked like at that exact moment.
That's very true. Feelings stay longer than images.
And I think this is also why some people feel unforgettable even when they are not the most traditionally attractive, because they leave behind a certain emotional signature in every interaction.
Emotional signature. I like that phrase.
Yes, It's like every conversation adds a small layer to how people remember you, and over time those layers build something that feels like personality presence rather than just appearance.
So it's like a long-term emotional impression.
Exactly. And that's why confidence is not about being perfect or never feeling nervous. It's about not letting that nervousness control your entire behavior or stop you from being present in the moment.
So confidence can still include nervousness. It just doesn't get controlled by it.
Yes, and I think that's something many learners don't realize, because they assume confident speakers are never unsure. But in reality, even fluent speakers pause, think, and sometimes struggle too.
The difference is they don't panic about it.
Exactly. They continue anyway. And that continuation is what creates flow in communication.
Flow is actually what makes conversations feel natural.
Yes, and when flow is present, even simple language becomes powerful, because it is delivered with ease instead of tension.
So it's not about complex words. It's about relaxed delivery.
Exactly. And I think that connects back to everything we discussed today. Beauty can attract attention, but confidence, presence, and emotional ease are what actually hold that attention and turn it into connection.
And that's the part people remember the most.
So if we bring everything together from today's conversation, it really feels like the answer isn't about choosing beauty or confidence as if one completely replaces the other, but more about understanding how differently they work in real human experience.
Yes, because beauty can create attention instantly, but confidence decides what kind of attention it becomes.
Exactly. And attention without comfort usually fades very quickly, but attention combined with confidence slowly turns into connection, curiosity, and sometimes even admiration.
So one is a spark, and the other is what keeps the fire going.
Like that. And I think that's why in real life we often remember people not just for how they looked, but for how they made us feel in their presence, whether that feeling was calm, safe, inspired, or simply understood.
Because feelings stay longer than visuals. Always.
And maybe that's the real takeaway here, that confidence is not about becoming someone completely different. It's more about becoming comfortable enough with yourself that other people can also feel comfortable around you.
That's actually very grounding. Not trying to be perfect, just being real.
Yes, and when someone reaches that point, they stop chasing approval so aggressively, and instead, they naturally start creating space for better conversations, better connections, and more honest interactions.
And that kind of energy doesn't need effort to impress. It just exists.
Exactly. And coming back to language learning for a moment, I think this is also what helps learners improve faster. Because once you remove fear of judgment, your speaking becomes more active, more natural, and much more expressive over time.
So confidence doesn't just improve personality, it improves communication too.
Yes, and even small improvements like not over-apologizing, not overthinking every sentence, and allowing yourself to continue speaking even after mistakes can completely change your fluency journey.
Because fluency grows from continuation, not perfection.
Exactly. And I think if someone listens to this episode and takes just one idea, it should be this. You don't need to become perfect to be confident. You just need to stop abandoning yourself in conversations.
That's a powerful line. Stop abandoning yourself.
And when you stop doing that, something interesting happens. Your presence becomes more stable, your voice becomes clearer, and people naturally start engaging with you more deeply.
Because you're finally fully there in the moment.
Yes, and maybe that is what real attractiveness is at the end of the day. Not just how someone looks, but how fully they show up as themselves.
Fully present, fully real.
So maybe beauty gets the first glance, but confidence decides everything after that.
And that after that is where real life actually happens.
Exactly. And I think that's a good place to end today's conversation.
Yes, calm, simple, and honest.
Thank you for listening to Speak Like Leader.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone, and remember, you don't have to be perfect to be present.
Just be real. That's enough.